I took Brian to one side and said, I don't know what you're going to do with the group as such, but this drumming isn't good enough for what I want. It isn't regular enough. It doesn't give the right kind of sound. If we do make a record, I'd much prefer to have my own drummer, which won't make any difference to you because no one will know who's on the record anyway. So there you go, that's what George Martin says. As many A&R producers would have said at the time, okay, you've got a great band and they've got a nice following, fair enough, but when it comes to the studio, I need something very precise, something specific, and it's a certain skill set. So George Martin needed a session drummer. Didn't matter what happened as a live group. Now, Paul McCartney was talking to Mark Lewison in the Beatles recording sessions, great book, and he recalled what George Martin had said. This was in front of John and George as well. Pete was out of the room. George Martin took us aside and said, I'm not happy about the drummer. He said, can you change your drummer? And we said, well, we're quite happy with him and he works great in the clubs. And George said, yes, but for recording, he's just got to be a bit more accurate. Okay, so the conversation has started about the drummer. But that's not all there is. That obviously sows the seed of doubt in the minds of John, Paul and George. If George Martin is going to use a session drummer because he doesn't think Pete can do what they needed to, what choice have they got? And this is what Paul says. Well, no, we can't do that, can we? It was one of those terrible things you go through as kids. Can we betray him? No. But our career was on the line. Maybe they were going to cancel our contract. And this is the big thing about this day, the reason it was an audition. Because George Martin's comments were always, if we make a record, if I give you a contract. Everything was hanging on this. This was their very last chance to get a recording contract. Everybody else had turned them down. If they didn't get this, this was the end of the road for the Beatles. If the only way to get that contract was, in their eyes, to replace the drummer, that's what they had to do. It was a business decision. And really, for these young lads, you can't blame them.